Good morning, students! Magandang buhay at mabuting tao. I am Sir CJ Luna, and today, I will teach you the methods on how to graph linear equations in two variables. Each method will be discussed with a given example. Based on the learning competency, this video lesson will help you sketch the graph of linear equations given any 2 points, the x and y intercepts, and the slope and a point on the line. A linear equation in two variables can be written either in the standard form ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a and b are not both zero, or in the slope-intercept form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. M and b are real numbers. Graphing linear equations can be done using any of the three methods. First, using any 2 points. Second, using x and y intercepts. And lastly, using the slope and a point. One method of graphing a linear equation is using any 2 points. Tandaan nyo na kapag meron tayong 2 points, sapat na yun para tayo makapag-sketch ng graph ng linear equation. Kaya nga meron tayong line postulate. 2 points determine a line. Let's say we have to graph the linear equation y equals x plus 2. So para makapag-graph tayo ng ating equation na to, first, kailangan mag-assign tayo ng mga arbitrary values ng x. And then, isolve natin yung corresponding value ng y. Okay? Let's have the first value of x. Let's say, x is equal to negative 4. So kung yung x mo ay negative 4, ano kaya yung magiging value ng ating y? So, ang gagawin natin dito, we will just substitute the value of x. So, from y equals x plus 2, yung x natin, papalitan natin ng negative 4. And then we will solve. Negative 4 plus 2 is equal to negative 2. So, our first point is negative 4, negative 2. Ibig sabihin, kapag ang x mo ay negative 4, ang y mo naman ay negative 2. So that is our first point. Now, let's find our second point. Let's say the value of our x is 1. So kung 1 ang x mo, ano kaya yung value ng y? So solve natin. So we have the equation, y equals x plus 2. So yung x dito, papalitan mo ng positive 1. So we now have y equals 1 plus 2, which is equal to 3. That means, if your x is 1, your y will be 3. So our point for the second one is 1, 3. So ngayon, meron tayong 2 points. We are now ready to plot them on the Cartesian plane. So here we have the Cartesian plane. So we have to plot now our 2 points. We have negative 4, negative 2, and 1 and 3. Okay? So negative 4, negative 2, so, yun. Doon yung point ng negative 4, negative 2. 1 and 3 is on the first quadrant. Next, after we plot the points, we will connect them. Okay? We will connect them with a line, and that's now the graph of the linear equation y equals x plus 2. Let us have another example. Let's graph the linear equation y equals negative 3x plus 4. So kamukha lang ng kanina, ang first step natin ay mag-a-assign tayo ng 2 values para sa x. And then we will solve for the values of y. So letter A, let x be equal to 2. So kung yung x natin ay 2, ano kaya yung value ng y? So we have now y equals negative 3 times x. Your x is 2, so times 2 plus 4. Then you have to simplify. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. And then we have plus 4. So negative 6 plus 4 is equal to negative 2. That means, if your x is positive 2, the value of y is negative 2. So, ang first point natin ay 2, negative 2. Ngayon, hanapin natin yung pangalawang point. Mag-a-assign tayo ulit ng value ng x. Sabihin natin na ang x natin ay 0. So, ano kaya yung value ng y kapag ang x mo ay 0? So, we will have now y equals negative 3 times 0 plus 4. So, negative 3 times 0 is 0. Then plus 4 is equal to 4. So, if your x is 0, y is 4. So, ang pangalawang point natin ay 0, 4. Okay? So, after nating makuha yung dalawang points, i-plot natin ngayon itong mga to sa Cartesian plane. So, 2, negative 2. Positive, negative. Yan ay nasa quadrant 4. Okay? So, yun ang location ng ating first point. 2, negative 2. And then 0, 4 is on the y-axis. Okay? So, 0, 4 is on the y-axis. So, after we plot the 2 points, ipag-connect natin sila ngayon using a straight line. And then, we have to label the graph y equals 3x plus 4. Okay? So, ganun lang kasimple mag-graph ng linear equations kapag ang given natin ay dalawang points. Okay? So, first, gagawin mo, mag-a-assign ka ng values para sa x. Dalawa, pwede na yon. Okay? So, after mo mag-assign, isolve mo yung value ng y. So, after you get the 2 points, you plot them on the Cartesian plane and then connect the points with a straight line and label your graph. So, ganun lang siya. Okay? Very good. Another way of graphing a linear equation in two variables is by using the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So, x-intercept is the abscissa of the point where the graph or the line crosses the x-axis. This implies that the point is on the x-axis, then the ordinate is 0. So, our point here is x0. Ang y-intercept naman, ito yung ordinate ng ating point, kung saan siya nag-cross dun sa y-axis. Ibig sabihin, ang x mo dito ay 0. Okay? So, the x and y intercepts of the line could represent 2 points, which are x0 and 0y. So, the intercepts are enough to draw the graph of a linear equation. Okay, may mga steps tayo sa pag-graph ng linear equations in two variables gamit ang mga intercepts natin, gamit yung x-intercept and y-intercept. Unang gagawin natin ay isolve natin yung y-intercept by letting x become 0, okay? Para magkaroon tayo ng point na 0b or 0y. Next, we will solve for the x-intercept. Gagawin natin 0 yung y naman para magkaroon tayo ng point na x0 or a0. Third step is we will plot the 2 points in our Cartesian plane. And lastly, we will connect the 2 points to form a straight line. Okay? So let's have an example para maintindihan natin lalo. Graph the linear equation 2x minus y equals 4. So first step, solve natin yung y-intercept. So gagawin nating 0 yung x. So we now have 2x, so 2 times 0 minus y is equal to 4. So 2 times 0 is 0, so wala na yun. Matitira na lang ay negative y equals 4. But 4 is not yet the value of y kasi yung ating y ay negative. So i-multiply mo yan ng negative 1, yung whole equation, para maging positive yung ating y. So y now is equal to negative 4. Okay? Ibig sabihin, kapag ang x mo ay 0, ang y mo ay negative 4. So our y-intercept now is 0, negative 4. Okay? Next, we will solve for the x-intercept by letting our y be 0. Okay? So we have now 2x minus y, that is 0, equals 4. So we only have 2x is equal to 4. How will you solve for the value of x? Okay, very good. By dividing the whole equation by 2. So we now have x equals 2. So if your y is 0, the value of x is 2. So our x-intercept is 2, 0. So after we solve for the x and y intercepts, we will now plot these 2 points in our Cartesian plane. So 0, negative 4, ayan, yan yung kanyang location. At ang location naman ng 2, 0 ay nasa x-axis. Okay? So after mong i-plot yung dalawang points na yan, ipag-connect mo sila to form a straight line and label your graph 2x minus y equals 4. So ito na yung graph ng ating linear equation. Example number 2. Graph the linear equation 5x equals 10 minus 2y. So first step is we have to solve for the y-intercept. So we will let x be 0. We have 5 times 0 equals 10 minus 2y. So we have 0 is equal to 10 minus 2y. Next is we have to transpose negative 2y. So it becomes positive 2y equals 10. To solve for the value of y, we have to divide the whole equation by 2. So we have y is equal to positive 5. So if x is 0, the value of y is equal to 5. That means y-intercept is 0, 5. Next is we have to solve for the x-intercept. Let y equals 0. We have 5x equals 10 minus 2 times 0. So 2 times 0 is 0, so we have 5x equals 10. To solve for the value of x, divide the whole equation by 5. So 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2. So x is equal to 2. This means if the value of y is 0, x is equal to 2. So our x-intercept is 2, 0. So ngayon, ipo-plot natin itong dalawang points na to sa Cartesian plane. 0, 5 ay nasa y-axis. At ang 2, 0 naman ay nasa x-axis. Pagkatapos, i-connect mo natin itong mga to ng straight line and label our graph. So this is now the graph of 5x equals 10 minus 2y. Graphing linear equation can also be done using the slope and one point. For example, graph the line whose slope is 5 and contains the point negative 1, negative 5. The first step in graphing linear equation using the slope and a point is you have to plot the given point. So in here we have the point negative 1, negative 5. So we will plot it now in the Cartesian plane. Negative 1, negative 5 is in quadrant 3. And that is now the location of our first point. So after you plot the point on the Cartesian plane, use now the slope formula. We have rise over run to identify the rise and the run. So since our given slope is positive 5 and it is a whole number, it is understood that we have a denominator of 1. So ang rise natin ay 5 at ang run natin ay 1. So after mo makuha yung slope, start tayo ngayon sa ating given point. Negative 1, negative 5. Ang rise natin ay 5 at ang run natin ay 1. So we will move 5 units upward kasi positive 5 yon. And then 1 unit to the right. So our second point is, ayan, 0, 0. Okay? So after mo makuha yung second point, ipag-connect mo na ngayon yung ating dalawang points using a straight line and that is already the graph of our linear equation. Okay? So ganun lang kasimple. Let's have the second example. Graph the line whose slope is negative 4 over 3 and contains the point negative 4, 2. So step 1, we have to plot the given point, negative 4, positive 2. Okay? So it is in quadrant 2. Negative 4, positive 2. So after mong i-plot yung point, ang gagawin mo ngayon, identify mo yung rise and run. Ano ba yung slope natin? Negative 4 over 3. Okay? So ang rise natin ay negative 4 at ang run natin ay 3. So starting from our given point, negative 4, 2, we will count 4 units downward. Kasi negative 4 tayo. Ang slope natin ay negative. So, 4 units downward. So, ayun yun. Next ay magbibilang tayo ng 3 units to the right. Yun ang ating run. So, 3 units to the right, and that is now our second point, which is negative 1, negative 2. Okay? So, after mong malaman yung dalawang points ngayon, connect them with the straight line, and that's the graph of our linear equation. So, summarize natin ngayon yung mga napag-usapan natin sa video lesson na to. Okay? So, a linear equation in two variables can be graphed using 2 points on the line, using the x and y intercepts, and using the slope and a point. Okay? Pag sinabi mong 2 points on the line, any given ordered pairs which are solutions of the linear equation. Kapag naman using the two intercepts, x-intercept is the abscissa of the coordinates, while y-intercept is the ordinate of the coordinates of the points where the line passes through the x and y axis, respectively. Kapag naman a point and the slope, the graph can be done by plotting first a point, which is a solution of the linear equation, and then using the formula for the slope from the point to find the second point. Okay? So, ganun lang kadali mag-graph ng mga linear equations using the three methods that we have tackled. Okay? And sana, clear na sa inyo kung paano gawin yon, kung paano mag-graph ng mga linear equations natin. I hope nakatulong yung ating video lesson na to. Okay? And maraming salamat sa panonood. I hope to see you again next time. Okay? And as I always say, be good always and God bless us all.